And here we go. Another contestant has a chance to win an absolutely fabulous prize. So come on down. Aw, it's this guy.
I love game shows.
I, like most millennials, really don't watch live television anymore, besides when I watch my favorite sports team play. But a network television series? Ugh. How many of these crime dramas can we have? CSI, CSI Miami, NCIS, NCIS New Orleans, FBI, FBI Most Wanted. Just put a random jumble of letters up there and I'm sure you'll get approved.
UOND. I love it. You got yourself a show.
But if there is any program that I always enjoyed, it was game shows. Random normal people, like myself, getting a chance to win fabulous cash and or prizes from a network that has more money than I could ever possess. So why do I like game shows so much? Well, I guess the concept is pretty easy. Play the game, win a prize. And the games could be anything. Games of intellect, games of chance, games of physicality. The sky's the limit. I even remember there was one way back called Cram, where contestants had to stay awake for 24 hours beforehand, then had to do physical and mental tasks running on zero sleep. College me would have been awesome at that game. Now, however...
Rich, you've been asleep for 10 hours.
It's not long enough. The biggest bummer about watching game shows while growing up, though, was I wasn't able to go on any of them because I was a child. But there was a network where kids could be on game shows, and boy, did they have a lot of them. Okay, you read the title of the video. Yeah, Nickelodeon had so many different game shows out there, all for kids to join and win some great prizes. Some of these games were creative, many were strange, and some were even terrifying. So for today, I thought it'd be neat to take a little trip down memory lane and have a marathon of sorts with these old Nickelodeon game shows. This isn't in any sort of order of favorites, but just seeing how many of these I can actually get through. Keep in mind, I'm just going to stick with the ones that were made before the year 2000, so if you're like, where's Brain Surge? Where's Webheads? Here's the thing. I don't know what the hell those are. So let's jump into... Let's start with Figure It Out.
Let's watch they try to figure it out.
Figure It Out was probably the first Nick game show I ever really paid attention to. It consisted of a child contestant that had some sort of special talent or invented something interesting, in which a panel of celebrities, basically all Nickelodeon stars, would have to figure out what the talent is in a certain amount of time or the contestant wins a prize. The celebrity panel had to guess the talent by asking the contestant yes or no questions. If they say a word that matches the talent, it shows up on the board, and throughout the 3 rounds they're also provided with obscure clues. Since this is Nickelodeon, there was also a slime factor. If one of the panelists did a secret slime action, they would get, well, dumped with slime, and someone in the audience would win a prize. But screw this kid, you ain't that kid with the talent. This kid's the star here! It was hosted by Olympic swimmer Summer Sanders and does a phenomenal job at this, might I add. Not overly ridiculous, but still a joy in this silly setting. Like some of these shows I'll talk about, it did get revived for a new generation in the 2010s, but... no. I really liked this one. It was fun. You got to see your favorite Nick celebs, as well as kids showing off their neat talents and inventions. Now, if only I was that creative. I can flip my tongue upside down. Sign me up, Nickelodeon.
Find out today on Nick Arcade!
Hey, Nick Arcade! See, now this reminds me of the late nights at 1 a.m. on the Nick Game and Sports channel, since that's the only time it aired. I was prepping for Cram, of course. Nick Arcade was a game where a pair of 2 teams had to move a virtual character around a board. Each time the character moved, something would happen, adding or subtracting points, trivia questions, or a video challenge, where the team would have to go to an arcade machine and reach a goal in a video game to win. If it be collect 50 rings in Sonic the Hedgehog or survive 2 minutes in Ghost and Goblins. Look at those graphics. This is making me feel old. Back in my day, we didn't have any of your Among Us and your Cyberpunk 2083. This was the real good stuff. The coolest part of the show was whichever team ended the game with the most points, they went to the video zone. The video zone was where the 2 contestants would physically play a video game in front of a blue screen, but the player would see their movements on a monitor. Containing 3 levels, they would have to do various things like jump, climb up, slide down, or throw objects. Sometimes it worked amazing, and other times, not so much. The main portions of the game are nothing special, but the video zone alone made the show easily watchable for me, and it even gave me a taste of what video games were popular at the time in 1991. Oh, my back. So the next show on our list is...
Think fast!
So the next show on our...
Think fast!
Oh. So...
Think fast!
They're here to play. Think fast. The game where quickness counts and money mounts.
So Think Fast was a game where two groups would have to solve random physical and mental puzzles quickly for money. Each time a team won the challenge, a puzzle piece would get removed from a jigsaw puzzle, revealing a picture. If the team can't guess the picture, they do another challenge. If they do end up guessing the picture, the team goes to the bonus round called the locker room. In the locker room, the winning team has to open up a set of lockers to find the matching kooky characters, but you have to watch out for the red herring, which has no match. If found, you have to pull a lever to reset the lockers. Find all the matches in the time limit to win the prizes. I gotta be honest, I usually skipped this when it came on as a kid, but I finally sat down to watch some of the episodes for this video, and it's pretty bad. The flow is very strange, it's not that engaging, and the host Skip, from the episodes I saw, is god awful. He doesn't seem very friendly, inviting, and half the time seems like he has no idea what he's doing to keep the audience engaged.
How they doing? How they doing? Let's hear a little bit more encouragement. They're almost done. They're almost done. Let's hear it.
Dude reminds me of a stepdad at his kid's soccer game.
You're not my dad!
Nothing to remember here. Didn't take much to think fast about that.
Do you have it? Do you have it?
Guts! Yo, okay, Nickelodeon Guts was probably the most intense out of all the game shows Nick ever made. The show had 3 contestants competing in extreme versions of certain sports, most of them using harnesses to take the contestants to huge heights and intensities, because, you know, extreme. They would do this for 4 rounds, then in the 5th and final round, the contestants would have to scale the aggro crag, later called the mega crag and the super aggro crag, an artificial mountain that was very similar to the final round of American Gladiators. Whoever scaled the top while avoiding obstacles and executing certain tasks would be crowned the winner. This was a show I probably would have been too afraid to go on as a kid. While many of the stunts looked fun, bouncing around with harnesses, I probably would have been overwhelmed, so I applaud the child contestants that were ever on this show. The show was hosted by actor Mike O'Malley and officiated by actress Mo Quirk. It went for 4 seasons, with season 4 being Global Guts, where the contestants were from all over the world. Another show that was brought back for a new generation, but this time with your family, titled My Family's Got Guts. I can't even imagine my family doing something like that. Hey guys! I got us on Nickelodeon's Guts!
Are you?
For your consideration. The show really was extreme in the 90s sense, and I think that's probably a big reason it lasted so long compared to most of these game shows. I dug it. Guts!
It's time to get the picture.
Get the Picture has to be one of the most basic looking game shows ever. It's not very creative, it really just boils down to answer a question, reveal part of the picture, guess the picture. That's the game. They throw in these random bonus segments to change things up, like Power Surge, where you have to guess images that slowly get revealed for more points. But again, it's just answer questions to reveal the picture till someone gets it. Nothing else. It's like if you had the toss-up rounds from Wheel of Fortune be the entire game. No spinning the big wheel, and you just got Pat Sajak being awkward as always. There is a bonus round, which is just more or less a game of concentration. They tried. Mike O'Malley from Guts was the host of this, and he keeps the energy high as best he can, but his personality is much better suited for the intensity of Guts. This isn't a bad one per se, but in the words of Gordon Ramsay, I'd say it's bland.
Yeah, Dad, what a shame.
Find the hamburger hidden in this picture, then you can win a run through our prize-filled house, where what you find is what you keep on Finders Keepers.
Finders Keepers is probably one of the most unique cases for a Nick game show. Not Not so much because of the game itself, which has a rather interesting concept, but the fact that it actually gained new life outside of Nickelodeon. So this game was pretty neat. Two teams would start off by looking for objects hidden inside a picture. They would get points whenever they found said hidden objects. It was somewhat like those find the difference pictures you would see in Highlights magazine. Each time a team correctly guessed an object in the picture, it gave them an opportunity to search a room in the house. After 6 objects were found, the teams would then follow the host into the house, where in each room they were given a clue and had to find something specific in 30 seconds to earn points. While the most enticing part of the show, majority of the time the clues are so confusing and the objects are hidden in the weirdest places. Like, look, this was supposed to be a Mickey Mouse watch. Want to lower the difficulty, maybe? The house itself is the highlight of the show, though. It always changed from episode to episode with different styles of rooms. Anything from a closet to themes like a jungle or even a beach. Contestants did this for 2 rounds, then the team with the most points went to the room-to-room romp, where they would have 90 seconds to find one object in each of the 6 rooms of the house to win all the prizes. Shit was so intense you had to wear a helmet.
You know, safety first.
So it was a cool little scavenger hunt / I Spy game, with the star being this ever-changing house, which I really liked, kept things fresh and interesting. The show actually got cancelled by Nickelodeon after 2 seasons, and it got revived a year later for syndication with a new filming location and a new host. The game stayed relatively the same with some minor changes. The finding an object in the picture portion changed from circling the object on a screen to now placing these things that look like window clings on a board. The room portion stayed the same though. Both hosts of the show were similar as well. If I had to choose one though, I think Wesley from the Nick version was better with the kids than Larry from the syndicated version, but they both did a fine job. Overall, a great show and one that I wouldn't mind seeing a comeback.
Now, in 3,
What?
2,
Wait a second.
1. What? Oh! Come on, time is ticking, keep looking.
What the hell am I even looking for?
If you can answer this and a bunch of other questions, maybe you've got what it takes to...
Make the Grade seems like it was made by school teachers, but then Nickelodeon remembered they were a fun network for children. 3 contestants pick questions from squares on a board. These categories are all school subjects: social studies, PE, history, etc. And the difficulty goes from elementary level to 12th grade. Throughout the game, there are secret squares that say things like take from another player, lose a square, and fire drill, which has contestants do a physical challenge to potentially switch spots with another player. Frankly, this just promotes laziness, because you can let someone get everything right, then do the fire drill. If you win, you can take their spot. It's so broken. The first person to get one of all subjects and grades goes to the honors round, where they have to answer 7 questions in 45 seconds to win the grand prize of $1,000.
That's a lot of money for a kid. You could take your entire family to Disneyland with $1,000. I miss the old days.
The show is actually really awkward at times. I don't know if the directions weren't clear enough, but both of the 2 hosts they had on this show would get really irritated by minor things.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Jim.
0.
0, yes. You have to buzz in. We need you to buzz in, okay?
Kimmy Carter.
That is absolutely right. Wait till I say your name, Jeff, but that was right. I looked at you and acknowledged you. Sorry, Brian.
Thursday.
Thursday is right. Wait till I say your name.
While many of the questions are school subjects, it feels like Nickelodeon stepped in and said, well, it can't be all about school. So the questions range from ones you would hear in a classroom to general pop culture. Who are the heroes in a half shell is not a question in mythology. I think this would have been fun for one of my teachers to set up when I was in grade school as an educational game, but as an actual television game show, I'll give it a C-.
I say you can. I say you can't. And you're on. You're on.
What the fuck is this? So this was the last Nick game show of the 90s, and they really went out with I wouldn't even call it a bang. The show's premise is the same as the long-running series, Candid Camera. Two children contestants with hidden cameras have to convince random strangers to do ridiculous and silly tasks. If they can get people to do all 3 tasks in 10 minutes, they win a prize. Hidden camera pranks are so common nowadays, what with YouTube and Impractical Jokers. I've grown pretty numb to this stuff without it being massively extreme. But I guess for 1998, yeah, this was silly and goofy, which was very on brand for Nickelodeon at the time. The host is an absolute madman, and frankly, the thing I love most about this. He's pretty over the top and ridiculous. What weirds me out the most, though, isn't him, it's the audience. Almost all of these game shows have a live studio audience, and quite a few of them have lots of audience interaction. This one, however, it feels like they are just mean. The host will ask the audience if they think the contestants can pull off the pranks, and most of the time, they just have zero faith in them.
Audience, do you think they'll do 1, 2, or all 3 tasks? What do you think? How many tasks do you think they'll get done?
Fucking none! But that's about it, nothing else to it. Some of these kids are great at this, while others are stiff as a board. But having kids convince strangers is difficult, especially when you're taught not to talk to strangers. It's a weird one for sure, but what else could kids watch in 1998? Frasier? Oh. Good shit.
On your mark. Get set. Go! Get that stuff going!
Aw, yeah, it's Double Dare, easily Nickelodeon's crowning achievement when it comes to their game show history. The sloppiest, messiest, grossest game show ever, all hosted by a guy with OCD. That's actually true. 2 teams of 2 would start the show by doing some sort of physical challenge to see who goes first in the game. This would usually involve getting messy. After that, the winner starts with a trivia question to earn points. If the team doesn't know the answer to a question, they can dare the other team to answer it for double the points. That team can either answer or say double dare to take it back to the other team for quadruple the amount. The team can either answer the question or say physical challenge, which would have them work together on another messy physical activity to earn the points. They would do this for 2 rounds, and the team with the most points at the end of said 2 rounds would then go to the obstacle course. In the obstacle course, the team would relay between 8 different areas to find a flag. Once the flag is found, you hand it to your teammate and so on. Complete the course within 60 seconds to win all the prizes. These obstacles were the highlight of the entire show, at least for me. Everything was just so messy and even gross, from having to slide down an ice cream slide to picking a snot-filled nose. And I loved every second of it. The show was a huge success and had so many different iterations, from the original Double Dare, Super Sloppy Double Dare, Family Double Dare, Double Dare 2000, and a reboot of the original concept back in 2018, with the original host Mark Summers involved, might I add. I, like many others, loved Double Dare. When you think of what kids like and what Nickelodeon represents, Double Dare was that. Slimy, messy, sloppy, gross. It was all of that. It was the first show I ever wanted to be on, and to this day, it makes me wish I was a kid just so I could stick a finger up a nose to win a prize.
Then again, don't you always win a prize when doing that? So gross.
I'll be honest, I'd never seen a single episode of Wild and Crazy Kids before this video, and I thought it was interesting. It's unlike any game show on here because there isn't any sort of cash or prize at the end. It's all just played for fun. The show consisted of 3 separate games hosted by 3 different teenage hosts, one of them being Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother. Fun fact.
Show me the money.
These games are mostly glorified playground and schoolyard games and sports. Like an obstacle course relay played alongside Marines, a decathlon but inside a shopping mall, and red light green light where if you lose, you take a pie to the face. Seems like Nickelodeon's go-to for comedy is a pie to the face.
Not my budget. Sorry.
Occasionally, they had celebrities and athletes on the show to join in the games for some added appeal. The concept is simple, but one I thought was enjoyable. Take simple schoolyard games, but make them bigger. I remember there was a time in the 2000s where they were worried about kids not getting enough exercise or playing outside enough. too much video games or TV watching. This to me is the perfect way to get kids moving and playing, having these great concepts for schoolyard games that can be played with their parents, the occasional celebrity appearance. They really should bring this back. Sure, they do the worldwide day of play on Nick where they go off the air for a few hours, but this seems like the better, more fun route. I really didn't have much else to talk about with this one. Not my favorite on this list, but one that left me pleasantly surprised. Makes me want to get up and move instead of, well, What Would You Do is the show where basically anything can happen, plus has cream pies.
Don't Google that.
The show is hosted by Double Dare's Mark Summers, and it's all about audience participation. With a different theme in every episode, Mark would go around pulling audience members to participate in some sort of game or activity, with the possibility of being punished with a cream pie. Sometimes it was just a simple pie to the face if you got something wrong, but most of the time it was these giant pie contraptions, like the pie wash, modeled after a car wash, the pie coaster, which was a roller coaster where you hit pies on the way, or the fan favorite, the pie pod, where they would sling pies at you from different angles. Many times the show would play a pre-recorded clip or have some sort of act being performed, and before it was completed, Mark would ask the audience what they thought would happen next, and they would answer using a buzzer. At the end of the show during the first season, they would do the What Would You Do medley, where a couple of audience members and the possible special guest would have a card attached to their head. Unknowing what the card says, Mark would ask if the person wanted to do what it says on the card or go to the pie pod. Most would pick the card. The card would have someone do anything from showing a hidden talent to licking something gross. The end of the show during the second season introduced the Wall o' Stuff, where if you earned a token from an event during the show, you can pick from 20 doors on a wall, where some would have a prize, but most would have some sort of pie waiting for you. This is easily one of the most enjoyable shows on this list, just for unpredictability, silliness, and creativity. Mark Summers, just like in Double Dare, is the best host. Quick on his feet, great with kids and adults, makes everyone feel welcome and hopes they are having fun. This would have been great to go to if I was in Universal Orlando. Go to a taping and possibly throw a pie in someone's face.
Entertainment was very simple back in my day, okay?
I love watching this one just to see people's reactions to these games and the wild contraptions people go through. What would I do? This. Easily.
Okay, one last one to talk about. And it's one of my favorites.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. With your guide, Kirk Hogg.
I thought it would be good to end our marathon with this amazing show. While Double Dare may be Nickelodeon's most popular and signature game show, Legends of the Hidden Temple is easily the most remembered of the Nick game shows for its fascinating premise, theming, and creativity. Themed after adventure stories like Indiana Jones, the show has 6 teams of 2 fighting for access into an ancient temple that contains an artifact. They must get this permission by going through 3 rounds of tasks instructed by a giant talking stone head named Olmec. The game has 4 rounds. The first is the moat, where the teams must cross the moat by swinging on a rope or rowing a boat across and press the gong on the other side. The first 4 teams to cross the moat then go to round 2, the Steps of Knowledge. Olmec tells the mythological story of the artifact hidden inside the temple. Teams must listen to the story, and then Olmec asks questions pertaining to the story, which players buzz in to answer. If correct, they can go down a step. The first 2 teams to reach the bottom step proceed to the third round, the Temple Games. In the Temple Games, the 2 remaining teams will play 3 physical activities usually themed to the artifact of the episode. If you win one of the first 2 games, you get a half a pennant of life, which will help in the final round. If you win the third game, the team wins a full pennant. The team that wins the most half pennants of life goes to round 4, the Temple Run. In the Temple Run, one player from the team must go through a giant maze of rooms to retrieve the ancient artifact, and then come back out within 3 minutes. To proceed through each room, you have to open doors or enter secret passages. Some doors open by pressing a button, others you have to figure out some sort of puzzle. In some rooms, there are temple guards that pop out of nowhere. If they do, you have to give them a pennant of life to shoo them away. If a guard shows up and you don't have a pennant, you are captured and your partner then has to go through the maze. If a guard captures both players or they run out of time, the game is over. Now, if that premise sounds complicated, that's because It is. But it was awesome. This was the coolest show on TV, and I don't think I knew anyone my age that wouldn't have wanted to go on it. It had elements from all other Nick game shows. The physical challenges of Guts, the maze-like room search of Finders Keepers, and trivia, which was all of them. The only thing I don't like?
2 minutes, 8 seconds. Oh, Temple Guard!
Bitch, what the fuck? Like, look at this. This is more than just a local haunted house at the fair. This guy will legit grab you. Grab a child? How the hell is this okay? I understand why this is so memorable. The set of this is better than any other Nick game show. The Adventure Explorer theme is so appealing. Kirk Fogg, the host, is one of the best. The Olmec Stone head is cool, albeit a little strange, but what wasn't strange about all the shows I've covered today? I will say, I feel bad about the contestants in the early rounds. This game starts with more contestants than any show on here. 12 total. 4 of them get eliminated within the first 2 minutes, and 5 minutes after that, another 4 get eliminated. Like, damn, I came all the way to Florida for 2 minutes of screen time and all I got was a Sleeping Beauty videotape. Frankly, that's more than what most people in show business say they can get. Legends has seen new life on Nickelodeon in recent years, with a movie based on the show, rumors that an adult version was coming to the now defunct Quibi, and even an obstacle course at the Nickelodeon Universe indoor theme park in New Jersey. I remember it as being one of my favorites and still is to this day, even if I'm tempted to call Child Protective Services when viewing. Phew. Well, that was exhausting, but I loved going back and looking at all these shows, and I can understand why I wanted to go on them as a kid. Yeah, obviously the prizes were the coolest thing as a kid, from shoes, scooters, to trips to theme parks, but just the experiences alone would have been amazing. Being able to star in a VR video game, which you can do now. Having to go through rooms where you can't proceed until you figure out a puzzle, which is just an escape room. Answering questions about pop culture, which we do during trivia night at the local bar. Wait a second. I can do all this shit as an adult! Did people get these ideas from the Nickelodeon game shows they watched as a kid? What? Oh. I'm never gonna make it on cram.